All right, hey everybody. As you can tell, this video is a bit different from my usual format. And why is that? Well, the reason is that a member from the Dehancer team had actually reached out to me over a month ago, in which they were asking me to actually try out their product, which is called Dehancer. And now it's been over a month, well, way over a month, but I now would like to share my review of what it was like to use the product, and then also hopefully then you as a viewer who's watching can gain a better understanding of what Dehancer is and how it functions and how it can actually benefit you in your own content creation journey, whether that's making videos or posts even. Alright, what is it? Well, Dehancer is a film emulation software plugin designed to recreate the look and color characteristics of your favorite films. It essentially allows you to apply cinematic color grading to your footage by mimicking the tones, textures, and nuances of various films found within the actual industry itself. In layman's terms, this just means that it allows you to make your footage look like movies, or at least have the same coloring as you see like on movies that you see on the big screen. So the software actually comes with different packages. We first have Dehancer Lite, and then we have Dehancer Pro. The difference is obviously the features that are available within the packages themselves. For example, a simple example I can give you is halation. You know how it makes your footage in bright spots, it makes your footage look brighter or like more orangey sort of thing. Like let's say someone films like at golden hour kind of thing, that's where you get those bright sections that look a bit more orange and yellow. Yeah, that's halation, right? That's available within the Pro package, but it's not available within the Lite package. So it sort of just depends on what you're looking for. So you can either, if you want some features like for example halation, you go for the Pro package. Now if you don't need certain features, or you just don't need certain features, you can just go for the Lite version. And obviously the pricing of them is going to be different based on that as well. Now me personally, I actually went with the Pro package just because it has all these extra features available. So it just gives me that opportunity to be able to experiment with all of them, all these different options. Not necessarily that I actually use all of them, but then it can also help me for potential future projects if maybe I'm trying to go for a certain look or a certain texture or something specific. I know what's available, and then the tool that I can actually use to be able to achieve that sort of look. Alright, so how does the plugin work? After downloading your Dehancer plugin, whether it's the Pro or Lite version, the next step is installing it into your editing software. Fortunately, this process is pretty straightforward, thanks to the clear instructions provided in the Dehancer user manual. Okay, so before I go any further, I should also mention that this comes from the perspective of someone that uses DaVinci Resolve. So if that's the sort of workflow that you're looking for, then stick around. And if not, also stick around, maybe just like me for me. To access Dehancer in DaVinci Resolve, load all the clips you want to grade and head over to the color page. Under the effects tabs, you can either search for Dehancer directly or scroll down to find it. It's usually located near the bottom of the list. Once you've found it, apply it to your node tree by either double clicking, which should automatically add it in series, or if it's already in your node workspace, dragging it into the node tree while holding shift. To view the different options, click on the Dehancer node and go to the effects tab. From there, you should be able to observe all the different features available. So as you can see from opening the tab, there are actually quite a lot of features available and a lot of tweaks that you can actually do. But for the sake of the review, I will prioritize the ones that I personally found myself using the most. So I just wanted to put that out there. Film. Here you choose the film profile you want to emulate in your project, inspired by real film stocks, and you get a selection of 60 plus film stocks to choose from. Film Developer. This section allows you to refine the chosen film profile by adjusting elements like contrast and color intensity, helping you fine-tune your selection as well as create a unique look for your video. Film Compression. This tool redistributes highlights, letting you control not only the amount of highlight detail in your clip, but also where that detail is emphasized. Film Grain adds a natural looking grain to your footage, introducing texture that enhances the analog feel and creates a more cinematic aesthetic. Halation introduces a red-orange glow around bright areas, intensifying light sources and contributing to stronger contrast between illuminated and darker regions. Vignette adds a darkened border around the frame, drawing more focus to your subject and giving the scene additional depth. Whilst I'm only giving a brief overview of these tools, just know that there's even more that you can do to further fine-tune your adjustments and selections to get to something that you yourself will be really happy with. Okay, so that's all about the tools. So now I'm just going to share about my experience using Dehancer and just list out the things that I liked and disliked. But just take it with a grain of salt. I'm not the best colorist, so just bear that in mind. Okay, so the first point of why I actually like using Dehancer Pro is that I appreciate how feature-rich the software is, especially in terms of its extensive film profile library. It not only allows you to accurately recreate your favorite film looks, but also encourages you to explore different new profiles, giving you plenty of creative freedom in shaping the mood and aesthetics of your footage or your video. I also like how it easily integrates into DaVinci Resolve and how straightforward it is to actually apply and use within the color page. Color grading, as most of us know, it can be a long and tedious process, especially when you're working with a large amount of footage. Let's say if you're working on a really big project. With Dehancer, selecting a film profile early on brings your footage close to the look that you're actually aiming for before you even start building a long and complicated node tree, which can really improve workflow and reduce the amount of time needed just for color grading. Again, especially if you're working on a large project. Another standout for me is its versatility. If you need to deliver something quickly, most of the essential grading tools are available within that single tab itself, which allows you to achieve a more polished look very, very quickly. At the same time, it also works just as effectively with a complex node tree, which then you're able to further fine-tune your grading. And now the final reason as to why I actually like using Dehancer Pro is that, especially this is for the people who use DaVinci Resolve, not DaVinci Studio, like me, right? Dehancer provides features like film grain and then also halation, which if you use DaVinci Resolve, these are normally paid add-ons. So, or if you do want to apply that certain effect within your footage, you have to go through extra steps like going to the Fusion page and then adding film grain there, and then you come to the color page, then you have to add a blur, accentuate the highlights and stuff. You know what I mean? There's essentially more steps that you have to take in order to be able to achieve that look. But with Dehancer Pro with Dehancer, it allows you to be able to achieve that look with minimal steps, which obviously then improves your workflow and then also makes it a bit more accessible. Now, I'm not sure if these qualify as dislikes, but they're definitely, I guess, gripes that I sort of had when I was using the software. Alright, so my first reason is that Dehancer comes with a very noticeable learning curve. And this is because with so many features packed within the software itself, when you initially boot it up, you're just seeing this tab loaded with all these options and then all these further fine-tunes you can do, all these profiles. It's overwhelming. It can be pretty overwhelming initially, especially if you're someone that's unfamiliar with film or color science, or color grading rather. Which actually leads me to my next point, is in which the software is designed for people who are actually invested into color grading or are willing to put the effort into learning color grading or learning the software itself. So if you're someone that does things more casually, let's say if you have some footage, all you do is just reduce the exposure, adjust the shadows, maybe just tweak the highlights a little bit, add a filter, kind of stuff like that, then it may end up feeling like more than you actually need. And to my last point, this one is a bit more personal, but since I use a pretty old camera to record my videos and my short films, I found that the input source options to be somewhat limited, or at least like they weren't available for the camera that I use personally. But this is more of a reflection of my own setup than it is on the actual software itself. So the software itself did nothing wrong. It's just me not upgrading my stuff. But yeah. Overall though, Dehancer is a powerful tool to have in your workflow, especially if you care about color grading and wanting to elevate the look of your footage. Being able to adjust your source, apply different film stocks, and essentially start with footage that's close to how you want it to look is incredibly useful. And while the interface does take some time to get used to, once you understand how each section works, or rather how each tool works, it becomes genuinely satisfying to use. Especially when you finally land on that unique look that you are actually aiming for to begin with. Besides, if you're willing to learn DaVinci Resolve, then you can definitely learn Dehancer. I was also asked to look at Dehancer Online, which is essentially a simplified browser-based version of the Dehancer software that you use within your editor. And just like in the editor, you can load different film profiles onto either video or an image. However, the interface itself is much more streamlined and simple. While you can still apply various film stocks, the adjustments are much more basic. So, i.e., your exposure, your brightness, contrast, temperature, and just a few others. If you want a quick way to edit your photos or videos without opening the full editor, Dehancer Online is the solid option. Just don't expect the same level of control you'll get from the normal version, but for simple, fast edits, it certainly gets the job done. Okay, and that wraps up my review video of Dehancer. If after watching this review, you're interested in color grading or making videos like I am, then you should definitely give Dehancer a try, or at least just check it out. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and be on the lookout for the next video. Be better. Peace.